Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another Buddyfight deck profile video. So today I'm covering the Legend World deck of Zodiac. I'm mainly making this just because Legend World Zodiac is not a good deck. It has not really been a good deck for a very long time because Legend World hasn't really given Zodiac any good tools to play with. So he's really been doing nothing in Legend World for a very long time, and as such, he just is nowhere near playable or competitive to today's standards. But obviously, I made a video previously talking about how good of a card Future Card Buddyfight is, and the fact that that card allows and facilitates easy and consistent FTKs. I found an FTK in Legend World Zodiac, and seeing how people really want to play Zodiac in Legend World, which I wouldn't recommend normally, because it's just not as good as Star Dragon World Zodiac. But the whole point is the fact that Future Card Buddyfight can even turn bad or lesser decks into at least playable decks because of the FTK. Now, FTKing or first turn killing isn't necessarily ideal because if you don't go first, then the deck kind of falls apart. But you should at least try to build the deck to play on both turns, and you can't always rely on going first, but the fact that if you do go first, you do have this easy first turn kill makes it at least somewhat playable. So obviously going into the deck, we have the Buddy, which is going to be Star Dragon Deity Zodiac Rebuddy. So he is just the best form of Zodiac, period. Having 3 crit is pretty nice because it allows us for an easy, consistent setup on how our FTK wants to work. On top of which, he has a great counteract ability of Gravity Rest, which is discarding 2 cards to rest the opponent's field, and then because we're in Legend World, we gain 2 life. Next, we're going to be running Future Card Buddyfight, so obviously this is one of the most important cards, if not the most important card, of the whole deck outside of the Buddy and the Impact, because, again, it just allows us to FTK very easily and very consistently, because we could either tutor out our Buddy, and then if we tutor out our Buddy, then we actually get the 2 crit to use, or we could tutor out our Impact, which, obviously, if we're tutoring out our Impact, we're going to cast it and kill the opponent off of it. So, all in all, this is just the best card in the whole deck. So, speaking of the Impact and FTKing, the Impact that I'm going to be running is Force Global Shutdown, so you can only cast this card if your opponent has 5 life or less. Oh hey, that's a pretty similar condition to tutoring out the Impact for Future Card Buddyfight. I wonder why. But anyway, its cast cost is pay 2 gauge, and then we get to deal damage to the opponent equal to the total crit of all monsters in our center. Well, we're only going to be running 1 monster in our center, and that's going to be Zodiac. So him having 3 crit means this card will, on base, do about 3 damage, but because of Future Card Buddyfight, adding the 2 crit if we searched out Zodiac, then that means this card will be doing 5 crit, and if Zodiac swung for 5 and the opponent starts at 10, then I guess they just lose, if they don't have the proper defenses. Next, I'm running Guru Bunbuku. So Guru Bunbuku is in here solely for the one purpose that it says that we could discard the card, pay 1 gauge, and increase the crit of our monster by 1. That is the only reason why this card is in here, just to try to boost the crit of Zodiac, so that way he has more crit to work with, in case we need to tutor out the Impact. Brilliance of the Yellow Path is in here, also for the same reason. It says that Zodiac will basically get +1 crit, so these two combined will give Zodiac an additional +2 crit, so if we need to tutor out our Impact based on how our setup is going, then we just use these two to get Zodiac's crit up to 5, hit him, then use Future Card Buddyfight, tutor out our Impact. Then Future Card Buddyfight gave us the 2 gauge to then cast our Impact to then kill our opponent. It's just a pretty good backup plan card just because it says Zodiac will get +1 crit. Now we go into the real deck because all of the combo pieces are out of the way, and we just need cards to find our combo pieces and try to maintain our board and actually try to play the game for real. So we're going to be playing Future Pallete because it is great protection on our Zodiac, so it makes him harder to be rested, and it makes it so that he can't leave the field. On top of which, we will also draw a card. Next, I'm running Awakened, Stardeity, Dragon, Zodiac X. So Zodiac X is just basically an overglorified defense spell to continue to rest our opponent's board down, so that way we are taking away their chances of attacking us, so that way we can kind of stall out long enough so we can try to win the game. So he's just a pretty good card overall to play. Next, we're running Meteorarms Vaishal. So Vaishal is there just to make it so that our Zodiac's abilities and soul can't be affected. So he's just there for ability and soul protection. Meteorarms Pisca is in here just because he can gain us some gauge. Meteorarms Dragsolar is in here just to try to draw us some cards so we can try to find our combo pieces faster. Next, I'm running Meteorarms Azavoarl. So this is just a really solid card to pair up with Zodiac in case we can't FTK. So what he does is when our opponent's monster is rested by the effect of, obviously, our Zodiac, we get to charge 1 gauge and deal 1 damage to the opponent. So if we weren't able to FTK, this just allows us to add a little bit of burn damage so that we could at least try to win the game without FTKing. Next, I'm playing Valkyrie of the All-Knowing Alduin because this is just discard fodder resource generation. Obviously, we will have a bit of discard synergy, so we want a decent card to pay out with that discard synergy. And then Protection Shell Rook is similar to Alduin, just another discard fodder card that we want to use for some resource generation, on top of which he has the added ability of acting as a defense spell while he's in our drop. So that's pretty good. Next, I'm running Future Astrology, just because it draws us some cards. Next, I'm running Yngl Gard, because it also draws us some cards. Next, I'm running Symbel Gard, because, surprise, it also draws us some cards. Next, I'm running Lua Nova, because, again, it will gain us some resources, which is gauge and drawing some cards. Hardworking Fairies is to gain us some gauge. And having this card not be locked once per turn is pretty nice, on top of which it could also be used at counter speed, which is also pretty nice. Oswira Gard is in here, again, to just draw us some cards and gain us some gauge. Next, Great Spell Weiterstadt is in here just because it is a very solid defense card, in which it's a attack phase ender. And then lastly, I'm running Dragon Force Style of Binds, because it will help lock our opponent's monsters down, and it's just the best item that Zodiac has. So that's kind of it for the main deck. Again, the whole purpose of the deck is to just show off the fact that Future Card Buddyfight can even turn these bad or lesser decks into playable decks just because they have an FTK, so at least they have a shot of winning out of nowhere. But as far as other cards you could run, obviously there's a ton of other Zodiac cards you could run, and then there's some really interesting spicy tech cards that you could run. So you could play some more set spells, because stars do have some set spells, and then because you're running set spells, you could also run the second Omnilord Osmodai Rebuddy, because he would basically become a size 0. He also has a little bit of discard synergy, where if he were to try to leave the field, we could discard 2 cards, and we could prevent him from leaving. And then he's just a big beater of a card. We could also run the 7th Omnilord, Count Dawn, as just some more additional protection. He's a size 0, so he already naturally fits with our board. Disaster Palace is in here just because it also draws us a card. Legendary Kickoff is kind of an interesting card, where most of the time we're going to want to use it if we have our item in our drop zone, and then we could just equip it, so that's pretty nice. Breathing Guard is just a spell null that you could play. Spica Virgo is just one of the better star monsters to pair up with Zodiac. Devoted Mummy Maker is another good discard fodder card you could potentially use. Overturn Ice Emperor Mysaria is just a way to reset the field, and because you're resetting everything, you have another shot at a potential FTK. Colossal Deity of Phantom Stars, Asterius is just another good star to pair up with Zodiac. Population Reduction is just another draw spell that you could possibly run. Uninvited Deity Inspector is just another way to tutor out a Zodiac. And then obviously, because we're drawing engaging a lot, you could also run Lost World just as a plan B, because if you don't have the FTK, you still need to find some way to win, and Lost World is still a pretty good alternate win condition. So again, that's kind of it for this video, trying to keep it quick and trying to show off the fact that Future Card Buddyfight is a game warping card, and it allows the game to facilitate lots of FTKs, and if decks aren't exactly prepared for the FTKs, then they could just lose out of nowhere, and that doesn't necessarily feel pretty good. That's all I have for this video. As always, I'll have the deck list in the description below. Feel free to leave a comment telling me your thoughts about the deck, or if you have any questions, feel free to comment on that as well. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.